Hi, my name is Louise Lyons-Appiah. I'm here with Beyond the Room at the International Forum for Quality and Safety in Healthcare. I'm here joined by Amy Edmondson. She's a professor at Harvard University. And do you want to do a bit of an introduction as to why you're here today?
Well, I've been studying culture and culture change, and particularly learning environments, for a very long time. And one of the places that I study this is healthcare delivery. So I've done a lot of research in hospitals, largely in North America, but also around the world. And a number one finding is about psychological safety, which I define as a belief that you can speak up with ideas, questions, concerns, even mistakes, and you understand and expect that to be welcome, or your voice is welcome. That factor, which is not a given, is a profoundly good predictor of care outcomes, burnout, quality improvement, effectiveness, and a great deal more.
Yeah, definitely. Whose job do you think in an organization is it to create that psychological safety?
Well, the short answer is everybody's.
Yeah.
But a deeper answer is there's an outsized responsibility by those in leadership positions. Now, that does not mean just C-level executives. That means anyone in a leadership role. That might be the frontline consultant. That might be a unit or ward manager or leader. It's anyone who is likely to have a greater influence on others' behavior by the way they show up, has a bigger responsibility because they have a bigger influence on the climate of the team.
And so when we're thinking about leadership, do you have any specific role models that you look up to who you're like, this is a really, really good example of a leader?
I have great examples in just about any industry context that you can name. Probably most relevant to healthcare and most recent in my mind is I had the chance to interview Dr. Jonathan Cohen, who's an anesthesiologist at a cancer center in the US.
Wow.
And I think he's a good leader in his field, in his specialty. And the reason I say that is that he has taught himself and others to genuinely appreciate and welcome others speaking up about an error or potential error. He says, I trained myself to understand that when someone points out my mistake, it means patients are getting better care. And it means I'm doing something right as a leader. And so leadership is about the self-awareness to know that you're a fallible human being, like every other fallible human being, to send the right messages so that others understand what their job really is, which is to learn together, to invite quiet voices in, and to respond productively.
So what do you think are some of the biggest barriers to people, specifically in healthcare and the workplace, speaking up about things ideas that they have, or, problems that they might be facing?
I think the biggest barrier is outmoded mental models, right?
Okay.
Faulty beliefs about the nature of the work, that it's hierarchical for sure, and that's not going to go away. And then that often comes with the belief that my job is to do what I'm told. My job is, not to make noise unless I'm asked a question. And those beliefs work in the industrial era. Right? Those beliefs work if the the knowledge is clear, the process is clear, just do it and get out of here at the end of the day. That's not what healthcare is like. Healthcare is complex and uncertain and interdependent. And so you've got to update the faulty mental models to be the following, essentially, to be anything could happen, my voice matters, our ability to team up is critically important for the quality of outcomes, and I have a role to play here.
Yeah, definitely. So when we think about the kind of quality of outcomes, obviously as, I guess, a perpetual patient myself, I don't really work specifically in the healthcare space. How do you think we make patients feel more comfortable with actually knowing that whoever's looking after them are going to make mistakes, and they kind of being aware of that?
Everybody's going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Patients make mistakes, caregivers make mistakes, but what really matters, and I think patients need to understand this too, is our ability to disrupt the pathway from a mistake to a failure. Right? You know, we all make little mistakes. Most of them, thankfully, don't cause bad outcomes, but some of them do. Our job is to catch and correct mistakes before they cause harm. And we won't get them all, but we can really get most of them. And so when you understand that you're far safer, you know, even as a patient, if you're not quite sure about something, you're invited and even in some ways required to ask, to speak up.
Yeah, brilliant. So obviously this conference is being hosted in London. What are you most excited to take away with you back to America to kind of disseminate back to your colleagues and and your work?
I'm very enthusiastic about the convening of people from many different countries and sharing their experiences, sharing best practices, because I think all of us are smarter than any one of us. And I think healthcare tends to be quite local and provincial in its thinking. Everybody kind of thinks, you know, even within the United States, everybody thinks their context is unique. And it is to a certain degree, but we have far more in common than we think. And it's incredibly important to share these insights.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been brilliant.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.